Nimuze. Nimwumve, inkuru nziza tubafitiye. Come, brothers and sisters from all ends of Africa. Come, I tell you, you do not want to miss this. Come and gather in the common square. Let us tell you. Come, brothers and sisters from all over Africa. Are you here? I do not hear you. Are you here? Come on, can I hear you? Can I hear you some more? Are you here? Are you here to hear of our great land? Thank you.
Today is the day the folktales spoke of.
Today is our ancestors' dream lived in you, sons and daughters of this great continent.
Moving us past the edges, past the boundaries once drawn for us.
Past the images of an uncivilized Africa.
See, come. Let me show you. Let me walk you down memory lane.
Do you remember that story? I trekked 14 kilometers to school every day, bare feet.
See, be grateful, my child, though. I only had one pair of clothing, one pair like this.
And how about
clothing?
The only water source in the village was the river. But that's a story for another day. A few years ago, a dream was born in Africa for Africans. A vision to transform Africa's infrastructure began to grow. It now promises to change the norm as we know.
Did you know?
Tell me.
There was, in the 90s, there was a bridge which was sung about. The people of the Brazzaville and Kinshasa sang of a bridge which would link the people of both countries.
It would link.
And today, it actually springs to life.
It would link through travel and trade.
Exchanging entertainment and education.
Connecting cultures.
Breaking barriers.
Creating opportunities for Africa's young. Basically, the Africa we want. I tell you, from Egypt to Malawi, they will see it.
Let them hear of our big, bold moves.
The faith and action represented in this room.
They will know from Rwanda to Morocco, they shall hear it.
Oh, and they will cheer of that child whose future lies in the rays of the sun, who one day, his sons' will rise and carry the mantle. I tell you, they will rise. They will rise.
The light of the world. There's so much I might say to you. Your children are the light of today. Your children, yes, they color the world. Africa, you're the light of the world. There's so much I might say to you. Your children are the light of today. Your children, yes, they color the world. Yeah, Africa, Africa. Africa, 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 Africa,
Africa, you watch.
Africa,
Africa, you watch.
Africa, Africa,
yeah.
Africa,
Africa, what you do?
Africa,
Africa,
Africa. Africa, Africa, Africa,
Kenya,
Africa, 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 you're the light of the world. There's so much I must say to you.
Africa,
Your children, yes, they light up the skies. Your children, yes, they color the world. Africa, you're the light of the world. There's so much I must say to you. Your children, yes, they light up the world. Africa, 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 Africa.
Today is the day the folktale spoke of. Today is our ancestors' dream lived in you, sons and daughters of this great continent, moving us past the boundaries that were once drawn for us, past the images of an uncivilized Africa.
Well, simply a fantastic way to start the morning and to set the right energy for the opening ceremony of the Africa50 General Shareholders Meeting. Thank you to our poets, Natasha Umuhoza, Shaki Mukiza, pianist Mike Kayihura, and Inanga player Deo. A warm welcome to the opening ceremony of the Africa50 2019 General Shareholders Meeting here in Kigali, Rwanda. I'd like to acknowledge the Right Honourable Edward Ngirente, Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda, Honourable Dr. Uzile Ngajimana, Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Republic of Rwanda, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, Chairman of the Board of Directors of Africa50, and of course, President of the African Development Bank, Alain Ebobissè, CEO of Africa50. Honourable Ministers, CEOs, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, please may I direct your attention to the video as we take a high-level look at the Africa50 mission. world mission which we are seeing executed as we speak. For the welcome address this morning, please put your hands together for Alain Ebobissè. He is the CEO of Africa50.
Thank you, Bronwyn. Your Excellency, Prime Minister Edouard Guirante, Chairman of the Board of Directors of Africa50, Dr Akinwumi Adesina, Honorable Ministers, Head of Africa50 shareholder delegations, members of Africa50 Board of Directors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, good morning. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the 2019 General Shareholders Meeting of Africa50 Project Development and Africa50 Project Finance. Please allow me to give a special welcome to our very honored guest and host, His Excellency Prime Minister Edouard Guirante, representing His Excellency President Paul Kagame. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Prime Minister, and thank you for your support and guidance as we work with the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology and the Rwanda Development Board and other ministries on the groundbreaking Kigali Innovation City project, for which we will be soon signing a joint development agreement. Mr. Prime Minister, please convey my deep appreciation to His Excellency President Paul Kagame for making Rwanda an Africa50 shareholders, but also for his continued strong support to our organization. Under his astute leadership, Rwanda has put in place an exemplary government which you have ably led since 2017. Your innovative approach to providing government services, your promotion of women, your creation of one of the world's most business-friendly environment, and your strong economic growth performance have set a high standard for others to follow. We know that you and the distinguished members of the government here today share the mission of Africa50, which is to promote sustainable growth in Africa through modern infrastructure. At Africa50, we have made significant progress over the last years. With our growing staff and fully running operations, we are increasing the number of our investments. In the power sector, some of our projects that we have funded have reached financial close, and others are already operating, delivering electricity to businesses and the population of Africa. In addition, we've started working on new sectors such as ICT and transport. I am pleased to report that in only 3 years of active operations, Africa50 is now recognized as an important player in Africa's infrastructure scene. We have invested or are considering investing in the majority of our 27 shareholders countries. We will review many of these investments in this afternoon during the closed session, including some of the investment that our chairman will mention shortly. But let me highlight some of the projects that we are considering in countries that are attending this shareholders meeting at the ministerial level, of course, in addition to the Kigali Innovation City project that I've mentioned earlier. In Madagascar, we are considering investing in a major hydroelectric project. Our chairman just returned from an official visit to Madagascar, where he met with President Rajoelina for discussions that included this project. Thank you, Finance Minister Randria Mandato, for being here. We look forward to working with you on this important project. In DRC, we are assessing several projects, including the flagship 2 Congo Bridge Transport Project, which the chairman and I recently discussed with President Tshisekedi. Thank you, Minister Kalala, for being here, and thank you for your support to Africa50. In the Republic of Guinea, we are considering investing in the Bessia Airport project, in a broadband PPP project, and in a deep sea port project. President Condé is following this project closely and regularly encourages us to fast-track project implementation. Thank you, Minister Doumbouya, for being here. Finally, in Kenya, we are working on a project that could become the first major independent power transmission project in Africa. This will pave the way for significant private investment in transmission, a sector which has generally been financed by the public sector. Thank you, Cabinet Secretary Hortich, for being here. We have made good progress on this project since President Kenyatta chose Africa50 as the lead developer at our shareholders meeting in Nairobi last year. We look forward to your continued support. Ladies and gentlemen, dear shareholders and stakeholders, at Africa50, we are hard at work to fulfill our mandate. These are only some of the projects that we are working on. We have a strong investment pipeline that addresses many of our continent's most pressing infrastructure needs. However, given the large infrastructure gap, we must grow our capital beyond the current $871 million that we have. We are doing this by increasing the number of shareholders countries at a rate of at least 2 new shareholders a year. In this respect, we will have some announcement to make later. We are also leveraging our existing fund to raise significant capital from institutional investors within and outside Africa. And we are working very hard on that, and our target is to raise at least $1 billion from the market. We must also substantially increase our already strong project pipeline, finding investment in all of our 27 shareholders countries. I am confident that Africa50 can achieve these goals thanks to our comparative advantage. One of these is the support of our shareholders countries, which are present here, but also the support of the African Development Bank, whose president, Dr. Adesina, is also our chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for leading our excellent board of directors, whose guidance and support is so important. Another advantage that we have is our integrated approach with our ability to deploy capital both in the early stages of the project development process and in the later stages, and we can function as a one-stop shop throughout the project lifecycle. And finally, we are a small organization with a private sector approach. This, combined with an efficient decision-making process, gives us the ability to respond quickly to our shareholders' needs and to implement the project as quickly as possible. Africa's infrastructure needs will continue to grow at a faster pace than government can mobilize the financial resources to meet them. At Africa50, we will do our part by financing and developing projects, by leveraging the support of development financial institutions, the private sector, and by working with our shareholders' government to speed up project implementation. As I've said before, a game changer in the infrastructure space in Africa will occur when enough decision makers acknowledge that the opportunity cost of delayed project implementation is way too high. Doing nothing or slowing down projects costs money and deprives citizens of services and economic opportunity. It is time for action, not words. Africans need infrastructure, and we, as an African finance and run investment platform, we can help. So bring us your project, and we will work with you to deliver them. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Alain, and it is so heartening to see conversation moving to execution. Thank you to Alain and the Africa50 team. The next man that I have the pleasure to introduce to the stage is a man who is behind tangible results, driving tangible, positive results across the African continent. He is Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. He's chairman of the board of directors of Africa50, and he is president of the African Development Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina.
Thanks very much, Brandon. Your Excellency, President Paul Kagame, represented by His Excellency the Prime Minister Edward Ngirente, the Co-Chairman and Minister of Finance for Rwanda, Uziel Ndaja G. Mana, Honorable Ministers, the CEO of Africa50, Alain Ebobissè, and Alain is doing a terrific job for us, I must say. You can give me shareholders and members of the Board of Directors of Africa50, ambassadors, heads of diplomatic missions, senior management and staff of Africa50, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the General Shareholder Meetings of Africa50. We are grateful, Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, to President Paul Kagame and the government of Rwanda that you lead for hosting these General Shareholders Meetings of Africa50 in this beautiful city of Kigali. It is always a delight to be back in Rwanda, a country where positive things happen. Who will not want to be back in Rwanda? A country that puts its dreadful past behind it and rose up from the ashes of genocide, powered by the resilience of its highly dedicated and committed people, led by its President, Paul Kagame, who is a pride for Africa. The rapid economic growth and development of Rwanda continues to be a source of inspiration. People say Rwanda is a miracle. Well, I do not believe Rwanda is a miracle. Miracles are things that happen without one's efforts. Rwanda is a product of vision, of astute political leadership, sound macroeconomic policies, stable political environment, robust planning, and I must say, relentless execution. Its Vision 2020 strategy is very, very clear. I love reading it on the plane. And compelling. It says, and I quote, to accelerate broad-based, sustainable economic transformation and prosperity creation in Rwanda. The use of the word prosperity shows the path of a nation that the nation is taking. Its real GDP growth reached 6.1% in 2017, 7.2% in 2018, and is estimated to get to 7.8% and 8% in 2019 and 2020, respectively. This small nation that came out of the travails of genocide has shown that with vision, clear commitment, dedication, and relentless execution of a vision, all is possible. It is, ladies and gentlemen, a testimony that countries can indeed overcome fragility. From the African Development Bank, of whom I am president, and Africa50, of which I am chairman of the board of directors, I wish to assure you, President Kagame and Prime Minister, that the African Development Bank and Africa50 together, we believe in your leadership, we support your vision, and will continue to provide robust support for your efforts to further accelerate the development of Rwanda. In the short time that Rwanda has been a shareholder of Africa50, and our CEO mentioned it just moments ago, we have already built an effective partnership. We are pleased that Rwanda chose Africa50 as its partner of choice for the groundbreaking Kigali Innovation City project. The Kigali Innovation City will be a hub for world-class innovation right in the heart of Africa. It will help to turn our young people into leading entrepreneurs and innovators who will be able to compete in the knowledge and innovation-driven global economy. Thank you, Rwanda, for leading the way. That way to prosperity in Africa is getting wider every day. The entrance into force of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement opens up a market of $3.3 trillion, the largest free trade area since the creation of the World Trade Organization. I arrived in Kigali yesterday night from Niamey, the boisterous capital city of Niger, where heads of states and governments gathered for the historic African Union Extraordinary Summit on the African Continental Free Trade Area. The pulse was upbeat. You could feel the spark of hope when President Buhari of Nigeria, the continent's largest economy, put pen to paper and signed the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, the highway to a fast-paced, integrated single market for Africa simply got wider. To take full advantage of the market and investment opportunities, we must connect all countries together by roads, rail, ports, airports, ICT backbones, and energy, especially energy corridors. This will be crucial for spurring future economic growth in Africa. And the future of the African continent is getting brighter too. GDP growth rate for Africa is projected by the African Development Bank to be 4% in 2019 to 4.1% in 2020. This is a very strong momentum. From the growth rate of only 2.1% posted as recently as 2016. It is worth noting that 40% of African countries are projected to see growth of at least 5% this year, boosted in no small measure by increased pace of investments in infrastructure. And Africa will grow even more and attain double-digit GDP growth rates to unleash prosperity everywhere when it closes its annual infrastructure financing gap of $68 to $108 billion a year. This is the time for greater concerted efforts to improve the efficiency in public expenditures on infrastructure. This is the time to promote public-private partnerships on infrastructure. This is the time to leverage the huge pools of capital in sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, and other institutional investors. And this is the time to accelerate investments in the preparation of bankable projects. Today, Africa50 is working with several partners, including national governments, project developers, and development finance institutions to develop bankable projects through the Project Development Company. It is also mobilizing private sector investments for bankable infrastructure projects through this Project Finance Company. Africa50 is already achieving impressive results on the ground. With a shareholder capital of $871 million, Africa50 has launched exciting infrastructure projects. In Cameroon, as Alain mentioned, Africa50 has provided equity investment of $45.7 million in the Nachiga Hydro project that will develop 420 megawatts of power for Cameroon. The project, for which the African Development Bank is also one of the major lenders, will raise the power generation capacity of the country by 25% and avoid a whopping 1 million tons of CO2 per year. Africa50 has invested $30 million in equity in 6 solar PV power plants in Egypt. Today, 3 of them have been connected to the grid and are delivering power to households and businesses in Egypt, one of our major shareholders. Africa50, as Alain mentioned, has a solid pipeline of 12 infrastructure projects ranging from roads, rail, power, bridges, ports, optical fiber cables, toll roads, and transmission, including a new innovation city, not only here, but also being planned in West Africa. And Africa50's future projects are equally exciting. Just think of the railroad bridge that will go over the Congo River, linking Brazzaville and also Kinshasa. This project, for which the African Development Bank is also a principal financier and partner, will create a crucial transportation link in the heart of Central Africa. Though a young institution, Africa50 has rapidly grown and shown great promise through innovation, dynamism, and focused execution. It has a solid professional team in place, ably led by CEO Alain Ebobissè. It is delivering impressive results. It has a strong and highly experienced board of directors, many of whom are vastly experienced in the area of infrastructure financing, and they are independent directors. Africa50 is attracting more countries into its fold, which now stands at 27 African countries, a mark of strong and compelling confidence. And Africa50 is on track to launch a major private sector third-party fund that will be used to leverage $1 billion into infrastructure from private sector institutional investors. Africa is ready for massive investments, and the environment to do so is getting more attractive for investors. At the Africa Investment Forum, organized by the African Development Bank in close partnership with Africa50 and other partners in November of last year, we collectively mobilized $38.7 billion of investment commitments in less than 72 hours. One such investment is the construction of the bridge that I just mentioned that will connect the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Congo, a $550 million transaction being led by Africa50 in partnership with the African Development Bank. So, if you are an investor, don't miss the Africa Investment Forum 2019 edition to be held in Johannesburg, South Africa from 11th to 13th November of 2019. I am proud, indeed very proud, of Africa50. I am proud of the strategic partnership between Africa50 and the African Development Bank. I commend the management and the staff of Africa50 for their tremendous hard work, their dedication, as well as the board of directors for their diligent oversight of the company's activities. And I applaud the investment, the trust, and the confidence of you, the shareholders of Africa50, in the company. Africa50 is a great investment. I encourage countries that have not yet joined Africa50 to do so. Join us as we move towards a new future of great promise for Africa. Join us as we invest in quality infrastructure for Africa. Join us as we lay the foundation for a more prosperous Africa. Africa's best years lies just ahead. Together, let us rise up with hope and muster up courage and determination, just like Rwanda, and make our dream of an Africa fully connected with world-class infrastructure a reality. Thank you very much, and welcome again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adesina, and it is truly a privilege to witness the changes that are happening across the African continent, and specifically the changes that are being driven by the African Development Bank, by Africa50, in the attempt to change the quality of life for all Africans. Now, Rwanda has received many compliments on this stage this morning, and it is surely a shining light across the African continent. But I want to go back to a metric that Claire Akamanzi, the CEO of the Rwanda Development Board, put on the table in yesterday's deliberations. And that is that Rwanda is ranked 29th in the Global Ease of Doing Business Index. A round of applause. 29th. In the Global Ease of Doing Business Index. And on that note, it is my pleasure to introduce for the introductory speech the Honorable Dr. Uzile Ndagijimana, who is Minister of Finance and Economic Planning of the Republic of Rwanda.
Right Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Edouard Ngirente, President of the African Development Bank and the Chairman of Africa50, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, Honorable Ministers, CEO of Africa50, Mr. Alain Ebobissè, members of the Diplomatic Corps, shareholders and board members of Africa50, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let me start by congratulating Dr. Adesina, Chairman of Africa50, and Mr. Alain Ebobissè, CEO of Africa50 for the great achievement of Africa50 and your commitment to infrastructure development in the African continent. I thank Africa50 for choosing Rwanda as the host of this year's General Shareholders Meeting. I believe most of you were here yesterday, and you heard quite a bit of on innovation and investment climate in Rwanda, as well as about our Vision 2020. This event is taking place almost 1 week after our celebration of the 25th anniversary of our national liberation, where we celebrated the achievements of the last 25 years, while also reflecting on the journey ahead. Next year, we mark the end of our Vision 2020, and Rwanda will embark on its new vision, the Vision 2050, whose major target is to become an upper middle-income country by 2035 and a high-income country by 2050. We are now busy implementing the National Strategy for Transformation, which is our 7-year government program running from 2017 to 2024. This strategy covers the last 3 years of our Vision 2020 and the first 4 years of Vision 2050. It focuses on 3 pillars: economic transformation, which takes about 57% of our national budget; social transformation pillar, which takes about 27% of our budget; and transformational governance, which takes about 16%. The strategy also integrates fully the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the African Union Agenda 2063, and the East African Community Vision 2050. And about 41% of total resources required for its implementation will come from the private sector. I look forward to working with all of you, development financial institutions, development partners, and private investors as we implement our national strategy for transformation and our next Vision 2050. About a year ago, Rwanda became a shareholder of Africa50 because we believe that it aligns with our drive to attract further private sector investments and develop bankable projects that can contribute to our country's socio-economic transformation. Our cooperation with Africa50 is going well and is already delivering tangible results. We are pleased to be partnering with Africa50 for the development and the funding of one of Rwanda's flagship projects, the Kigali Innovation City. We look forward to developing more projects with Africa50 in Rwanda and to seeing this much-needed African institution grow its portfolio of quality investments across our continent. With these short introductory remarks, it's now my honor and privilege to invite the Right Honorable Prime Minister to deliver the keynote speech. I thank you.
Honorable Ministers, Dr. Adesina, the President of African Development Bank and Chairman of Africa50, Alain Ebobissè, CEO of Africa50, ambassadors and head of diplomatic corps missions, shareholders and board members of Africa50, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Rwanda and to open this fourth Africa50 General Shareholder Meeting on behalf of His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, who was not able to attend this meeting. A very warm welcome to you all to Rwanda for the 4th Africa50 General Shareholders Meeting. We are pleased to have been selected as the host country for this year. I was told that the 4th Africa50 General Shareholders Meeting and yesterday Investment Forum agenda have placed innovation at the center of the dialogue and deliberations. Therefore, we have to work hard to increase our opportunities in technology advancements in all sectors of our economies. As a continent, we need to create, shape, and own our agenda when it comes to innovation and technology, among others. This journey will require us to invest across multiple dimensions, from connectivity in rural and urban areas to digital literacy, to increase adoption and to prepare our young people to be successful in a digital world. In Rwanda, we have started with laying the foundation by investing in infrastructure that led to 95% country fiber network coverage. With the infrastructure in place, we look to digitize our services, connecting governments to citizens through online services to improve service delivery. Today, we have over 90 services online on our platform called Irembo. We are now looking at universal digital literacy of our young people by 2024, as well as capitalizing on innovation and technology to develop our economy and reduce poverty. Investments like these always require a lot of resources, and there is a need of collaboration and partnership between governments, private sector, and other partners. Therefore, we must keep looking to partners, particularly in the private sector, to make these investments successful. Africa50 has been a great example, stepping in to partner with the government of Rwanda in developing Kigali Innovation City, our flagship project to accelerate our innovation ecosystem. Similarly, the Africa Development Bank has been our great partner in different areas, including ICT, education, and innovation. This demonstrates that the era we live in requires partnership and collaboration with the private sector and our citizens. Our role as leaders in the government is to be an enabler to catalyze private sector growth. This is why the government of Rwanda continuously seeks new reforms to improve the investment climate. As you know, today we are ranked first easiest place to do business in the region, second in Africa, and the 29th globally. In addition, the 2018 Corruption Perception Index ranked Rwanda as the first least corrupt country in the East African region and one of the 5 least corrupt countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Distinguished guests, we have a responsibility to ensure that investment we make are lifting all our citizens out of poverty and not just a few. Even as we invest in technology, let us support inclusive solutions that improve the lives of our people, such as solutions that improve agriculture productivity, improve access to healthcare, and quality of education. These are sectors that have an impact on all our citizens and receive significant public funding. As African governments, we need to also challenge ourselves to be agile and open to new technologies and innovations in our own operations if we are to create sustainable impact. Technology has given us a platform to accelerate how we create values for our citizens and society, and therefore, let us all continue to work together as partners to find ways to use this opportunity to transform our continent. After these remarks, dear participants, it is now my pleasure, on behalf of His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, to declare the 2019 Africa50 General Shareholder Meeting officially open. I thank you so much.